My husband tried to take everything until he discovered the amazing truth in my hidden folder. The day Mark filed for divorce was the day Sarah's heart shattered into a million pieces. She stood frozen in the living room, the sun streaming through the window casting a light on the chaos spilling from her life. Mark, with his designer suits and corporate ambition, had walked away from everything they built together, seeking not just their home, but the soul of their family. How could someone who promised forever become someone so cold? Tears streamed down her face as she clutched her son's drawing of their family, a crayon-colored version of the love they once knew. Despite the emotional whirlwind, Sarah fought against the tide of despair. She poured herself into her volunteer work at the community center, an anchor in the storm. Each event she organized became a source of strength. The laughter of children enriched her soul, and the gratitude from those she helped filled her heart. Yet underneath her radiant smile, doubt clawed at her insides. Was this who she was meant to be, or was she just the shadow of a woman discarded by the man who once vowed to cherish her? She had wallowed in despair until she found an old folder hidden in the attic. As she opened it, a rush of warmth enveloped her. Letters from friends, scrappy photographs capturing moments of joy, and notes praising her community service spilled out like sunshine bursting through clouds. Each page was a testament to her unwavering dedication. It reminded her of the love she spread, pure, infectious, and undeniable. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned into weeks, and the distance between Sarah and Mark grew like a canyon. A night full of unspoken words boiled over when she confronted him about what was happening. Hurt rippled through her as she shared her fears of losing everything: the home, their kids, and the life they had built. In that charged moment, they both peeled back layers of pain and misunderstanding. She spoke of their childhoods, the privilege he had, and the struggle she faced growing up. Mark's reactions revealed a man consumed by insecurities, buried deep beneath his confident facade. As they wrestled with their broken dreams, Mark's eyes fell on the hidden folder she had absent-mindedly left out. He started flipping through it, a mix of confusion and curiosity etched across his face. With each page he turned, his expression shifted from indifference to realization. Voices of affirmation surrounded them as if they were in a time capsule filled with warmth. In that heated space, he recognized the real wealth they had: love and community. But now Mark stood at a crucial crossroad. Would he embrace the truth before him and acknowledge the strength of their family? Would he let go of the materialistic desires that had clouded his vision for so long? As his hands trembled over the pages of the folder, Sarah patiently waited, the silence stretching, heavy with unspoken hopes. Would he choose to save their family, or would he further sink into the abyss of ambition and loss? The silence in the room felt deafening, each heartbeat echoing Sarah's turmoil. She watched as Mark stared at the pages in disbelief. The laughter captured in those faded photos was a ghost of their past, and as he flipped through them, Sarah could feel his realization wash over him like a tide pulling back the years. What is all this?" Mark stammered, voice barely above a whisper, tracing the crayon swirls of their son's drawing. "Us," Sarah replied softly. "The life we built, all the moments we shared. The love, it's all here. We just let it slip away." His jaw tightened. The man who once believed in the dream of success was now grappling with the weight of truth. For a moment, vulnerability flickered in his eyes, illuminating a corner of his heart Sarah longed to reach. Mark sat down heavily on the couch, the folder resting in his lap. "I thought he started before breaking off." "Thought what?" She pressed gently, stepping closer. "I thought ambition would bring us happiness," he confessed, his voice cracking under the pressure of unmet expectations. "But I see now it was just a distraction. I was so focused on what I thought we needed, I lost sight of everything we had." Tears pooled in Sarah's eyes as she took a seat across from him. She wanted to reach out, to take his hands in hers, but fear held her back. Would he even want to hold on? "Mark," she began, her voice trembling. "I don't want to lose what we have left. Our kids, this home, us, there's so much good. We just need to fight for it." He looked up, eyes shimmering with unshed tears. I was too blind. I always thought I had to be the one who provided. I wanted you to have everything. But I forgot. I forgot to cherish the things that really matter." A flicker of hope ignited within Sarah. Perhaps this confrontation could mark the beginning of something new. "Let us rebuild this together," she urged. "We can focus on family, on the laughter that used to fill this house. The things we thought were lost, maybe they can be found again." Mark nodded slowly, but uncertainty still clouded his expression. "Can we really? Will the kids understand? What about the money? The life I thought I wanted?" "Tell them the truth," she said. "If you show them a dad who's human, who makes mistakes, that's more valuable than silver and gold. They just want love, and they need to see us working to put our family back together." He took a deep breath, contemplating her words. The flicker of realization had blossomed into a yearning for change, each passing moment fueling that fire. It wasn't just about fixing their marriage, but reclaiming the essence of who they were as parents and partners. But just as Sarah felt the light of hope, a shadow crept in. In Mark's phone, a notification popped up, a message from someone she recognized but never wanted to see again. The name flashed before her like thunder on a clear day. "Who is that?" she asked, a lump forming in her throat. Mark's face turned pale, hesitation dragging the words from his lips. It's work." It's never just work," she shot back, the sting of betrayal returning. Sarah clenched her fists as the hope that had just ignited flickered under the weight of fear. What if this moment of connection was just a fleeting glimpse of the man she once loved? Would the walls of ambition still loom above her in the end? As the tension filled the room anew, Sarah could feel the crumbling foundations of their fragile progress. Would this revelation lead them to reclaim their family or push them back into a cycle of hidden ambition and heartache? And Mark, caught in a storm of emotions, held the folder in one hand and his phone in the other, teetering on the edge of a choice that could define everything. Mark looked down at his phone, the light from the screen casting shadows across his face. He stared at the message, anxiety coiling tightly in his chest. Sarah's gaze burned into him, demanding answers, and the air between them felt thick with uncertainty. Taking a deep breath, he opened the message. It was from Laura, a colleague he had always defended as just a friend. The message was innocuous enough on the surface, a simple question about a report they had been working on together, but Sarah's mistrust hung in the air like a storm cloud, ready to burst. "Why do you still have her number?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper, but the hurt was palpable. "After everything. I didn't delete it because I thought it would be unprofessional," he replied, his tone defensive. He felt the walls starting to close in. "Unprofessional? Or unfaithful?" Her words cut like glass. "No, Sarah, you're twisting this," he exclaimed, rising to his feet. He could feel the heat rise to his cheeks. Mark's gut twisted painfully at the raw edge of hurt in her voice. "This is not about exactly. It's never about you taking accountability," she interrupted, standing now too. The distance that once felt safe between them vanished, replaced by a simmering tension. Desperation gnawed at his insides, completely unraveling the fragile resolve he had just gathered. "We were talking about our family, Sarah. About us. Then how is she still in your life?" Mark clenched his jaw, frustration clawing at his insides. "I didn't want it to be awkward at work. But it is awkward here. And you're choosing to put your career over." He stepped closer, urgency taking over. "I'm choosing to put our family first, but it's hard to do that when you want to fight about things that really matter." She shot back. "You still don't get it, do you? You're still thinking this is about something trivial." All of a sudden, Mark's defenses dropped. Her voice, full of pain and disappointment, seemed to cut through the fog of fear that had surrounded him. There was a truth in her words that flickered like a small flame, pushing him to see clearly. "I do get it," he whispered, feeling the weight of regret settle on his shoulders. The silence wrapped around them once more, heavier than before. Neither of them spoke, both searching for something to say, a bridge over raging waters. Sarah inhaled deeply, her eyes searching his. You have to face us. If you care, we need to figure it out together. But you have to choose. Choose? He echoed, his voice trembling. Choose between my job and my family? Is that what you want me to do? No, she cried, tears spilling down her cheeks. Choose to let go of the ambition that leads you to betray what we've built. Choose love, support. You can have both without them clashing every day. A long moment passed where hope and fear locked in battle. Mark felt the truth in her words, aching to burst free but trapped beneath expectations and obligations he had set for himself. Will you still want me if I step back? He asked, his voice strained and void of bravado. Sarah's lips trembled, but she nodded. Yes, but I need you to be honest with yourself. With me. Mark stared at her, trying to fathom the enormity of her request. Then he glanced down at the folder still in his lap, a reminder of the life they once had. The memories flickered like a long-forgotten song, compelling him to consider that another choice was possible, but as he moved to put the phone down, it dinged again with another message, and Mark hesitated. It was Laura again, a question about some work thing, but with a smiley face added this time. Caught between the hope of rebuilding and the comfortable clutches of ambition, he felt the weight of his decision loom larger than ever. How could he choose the right path if he was still tangled in the one that had let him hear a mere flicker away from drifting away again? You may have to decide sooner than you think, Sarah said quietly, her words laced with an urgency that resonated deep within him. As the tension twisted around them, Mark knew a choice loomed, a choice he might have to make between the past he held and the future he could still build. Would he summon the courage to step into the unknown and reach for what truly mattered? Mark's pulse raced as he stared at the message. The smiley face felt like a punch to the gut. He pressed his lips together, fighting the urge to respond. Did Laura really need to send that after everything? It was like a beacon calling him back into a world he thought he was ready to leave behind. Why are you so quiet? Sarah whispered, her voice soft, but quivering with apprehension. He met her gaze, seeing the raw vulnerability etched on her face. I just got a message from Laura, he admitted, his voice faltering. Her eyes widened, fresh hurt bleeding through. Can you see this is exactly what I'm talking about? I know. He rubbed his temples, frustration bubbling over. But I don't want to lose my job over this. I can't just cut her off like that. It's complicated. Complicated? Sarah's incredulity was palpable. You've made it complicated. This is about more than just your work, Mark. It's about trust, transparency. Where does that fit into your complicated life? He took a step back, feeling the weight of his frustration shift to guilt. I was trying to hurt you, he said, his voice softer, calmer now. But if I end things, it could bring drama to the workplace. It's not easy. Sarah shook her head, tears pooling in her eyes. And what about us? You say you want to build something together, yet you're holding on to something that threatens everything. Maybe I think I can manage it all, he muttered. I thought I could have both. Life doesn't work that way. You can't have the cake and eat it too. Silence hung between them again, each heartbeat sounding louder than the last. Mark's thoughts churned wildly. Tear through the complications? But what did it mean for his career? His ambitions? What if I made the choice? He said suddenly, surprising even himself. The real choice? Sarah asked, her eyes brightening with a mix of hope and caution. Yeah, let's say I let go of the connection with Laura. At least for now. But what if she takes it badly? What if she creates a scandal? You already said honesty is what we need, Sarah replied gently. But are you really ready to risk everything for us? He let the words settle like stones in his stomach. Did it come down to that? Could he willingly turn his back on his ambitions, at least temporarily? Just for a chance to rebuild things with Sarah? Maybe I need to. The revelation hit him like a wave, crashing through the haze of doubt. Maybe it's time I face the music. I need to show you that I can commit to this to us. A tentative smile broke across Sarah's face, bridging the gap that felt insurmountable just moments before. Are you sure you're ready? Mark nodded, fear mingled with newfound courage. It felt exhilarating to finally express it. I'll send her a message. I'll be clear. No more gray areas. Mark, if you do this, there was a tremor of hope in her voice that made his heart swell. I know it's risky, but it's necessary. As he reached for his phone, his fingers trembled against the cool glass. He hovered, contemplating whether to send the message. His breathing quickened, moving between the comfort of the familiar and the enticing pull of the unknown. Before he could second-guess himself, he typed a brief response, setting boundaries with firm determination. But just as he was about to hit send, another message blinked onto the screen. Don't forget the presentation date next week. Can't wait to see you. Mark's heart sunk. The familiar cheeriness felt like a slap in the face. He glanced back at Sarah, who watched him, uncertainty flickering behind her fierce resolve. He hesitated, fingers hovering above the screen as the weight of the word send hung in the balance. Can we talk more? Sarah urged, her voice edged with worry. Yeah, he replied, an uneasy lump in his throat. I want to figure out how to make this work. But the real question lingered in his mind: how would this all unfold? The risks he was taking loomed like shadows, begging for attention. Could he really walk away from the past without it echoing back and casting doubt on their future? As they sat together, a fragile peace settling, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest part was just beginning. Would he find the strength to stay true to his word when the hardest moments arrived? Mark felt the weight of Sarah's gaze as he fought against the temptation to look at his phone again. The smiling emoji seemed to mock him, all bright and cheerful, while a storm brewed within him. He glanced at the clock on the wall. The tick of time felt deafening, like a countdown to some inevitable confrontation. Mark? Sarah's voice pulled him back. It was low, but there was an underlying strength in it. What are you thinking? He shifted his focus back to her. She was steady, even as the air crackled with tension. I'm just trying to process everything, he admitted. How could he explain the chaotic whirlwind in his head while craving the comfort of her presence? Let us take this one step at a time, she said, her voice soothing. First, what do you really want? He pushed out a breath, a pressure valve releasing in the quiet. What did he want? Simple. He wanted clarity, safety, and the warmth he felt when Sarah was near. Honestly, I want to feel safe in this. With you. Then let us work on that. She took a half step closer, her determination sparkling in her eyes. You can't fix everything in one go. Start with Laura. What are you going to say? He swallowed hard, imagining the moment he'd tap send. I need to be straightforward with her, he replied, feeling a surge of resolve. I guess I can't keep straddling two worlds. Exactly. Just be honest about your feelings. It's the only way this will work with us, she encouraged, her eyes sparkling with a mix of hope and fear. Despite his rising anxiety, Mark felt a flicker of excitement. This was a turning point. The idea of shedding the tangled past felt liberating, yet terrifying. He glanced at his phone again, the screen illuminated with Laura's words. Okay, he said, his voice firmer now. I'm going to tell her things need to change. It's about time. Then do it, Sarah urged, as if pulling him closer to the edge. Just then, another notification chimed, snapping him back into reality. It was Laura again. I thought we had something special. Don't turn your back on us now. Mark's heart sank. The guilt twisted inside him, the potential fallout, a tidal wave of excuses he could already hear. What if he started? But Sarah cut him off gently. Don't overthink it. This decision is about you and me, she reminded him softly. Right. He was done being tugged back and forth. His fingers shook over the screen, but he could hear Sarah's encouraging whispers in his mind. Just be honest. He quickly typed a message back, carving out space for both their futures. Laura, I need to be clear. I can't keep up this connection anymore. It's not just about work. What we had is over, he wrote, each word punctuated by the sound of his heartbeat. It felt monumental. After all the confusion, the tangled feelings, that single message was the first step into unknown waters. He hesitated, uncertainty creeping back in. Do it, Sarah said, eyes never wavering. This is your moment. With one quick breath, he pressed send. The message flew away, taking with it years of confusion and miscommunication. For a brief moment, relief washed over him. But as he looked up at Sarah, the tension reformed in the air, this time laced with anticipation. Sarah's expression softened, but he could see the questions still swirling within her. "What now?" she asked, the vulnerability of that sentence resonating in the air. Mark felt raw, but also lighter. "I guess we move forward. We talk, we build. Whatever this becomes, we do it together." Just then, his phone buzzed. Laura's response arrived swiftly. "You'll regret this. I won't let you go that easily." Mark's stomach dropped. Anxiety gripped him like a vice. He glanced at Sarah, who was watching him closely. He felt the weight of Laura's words like a shadow looming over their moment. Would they be able to face whatever fallout came next together? "Are you ready for what's coming?" Sarah asked, a tinge of worry etching lines around her eyes. "I can't believe I texted her," Mark said. "But I have to be ready. I want us to work." And as they sat together, the edges of uncertainty closing in, he couldn't help but wonder, were they truly ready for the storm that loomed just ahead? Mark's phone buzzed again. He glanced down, dread pooling in his stomach. The screen lit up with another message from Laura. "You think it's that easy? I know you better than you know yourself." "Ignore it," Sarah said, her voice steady yet soft. You can't let her words carry weight anymore. He nodded, but the anxiety still teased at him. It felt like standing on the precipice of a cliff, the wind howling and urging him to either leap or retreat. "I just didn't expect this," he muttered, half to himself. "I thought she'd understand." "Maybe she was never meant to," Sarah replied, her hand reaching out to squeeze his. The warmth of her touch sent a wave of comfort through him. In that moment, the chaos in his mind quieted. He wanted to focus on what lay ahead, not what he was leaving behind. "You're right. It's a new beginning, isn't it?" His heart beat with a newfound vigor, hope creeping in. "Exactly," Sarah said, a smile breaking through. "Let us seize this chance to redefine us. Start fresh, without shadows lingering around." Mark felt himself unwind, the tension loosening with each word she spoke. "What do you want us to be?" he asked, genuinely curious. "I want us to be honest and to build something real," she said, her eyes bright with determination. "No more hidden emotions. Just us." He took a breath, the weight of the moment grounding him. "I want that too," he confessed. I've never felt this clear about anything before." Just as the air shifted, bringing a sensation of exhilarating possibility, his phone buzzed again. This time, the sound felt like an unwelcome jolt. He hesitated but picked it up, half expecting another attack from Laura. Instead, it was a message from a mutual friend, inviting them to a weekend getaway. "Looks like we have an opportunity to escape," he said, glancing at Sarah. "It could be good for us, a fresh environment. Space to breathe." She tilted her head, considering it. "Do you think it'll help?" "Definitely," he replied, his enthusiasm rising. "We can find some clarity. Maybe even a chance to celebrate a new beginning?" After a moment of thought, her smile widened. "I'm in. We could use a breakaway from everything. Just the two of us." "Exactly." He felt the breath of hope filling the air, sparking visions of what was possible. A weekend of laughter, adventure, and, yes, healing. They could sculpt their narrative without any interruptions. Before they could dismiss what would come next, he quickly typed a message accepting the invite, injecting a sense of normalcy amidst the emotional whirlwind. But as soon as he hit send, a wave of uncertainty rippled through him again. "Mark?" Sarah's voice cut through his thoughts. "You still seem nervous." He sighed, running his hand through his hair. "It's just, what if she creates more drama?" "Laura won't take this lightly." "Then we deal with it together," she said firmly, her gaze unwavering. "If we're forging this new path, we stick together." The urgency of her words settled, filling the void of dread with something more substantial: teamwork. "You're right," he said, nodding. "We face whatever comes. Together." As the two shared a charged glance, a realization dawned upon him. They were standing at the edge of something beautiful, a partnership built not on doubts or lingering attachments, but on shared hope and courage. But just as they were stepping toward that brightness, his phone chimed once more, and Mark felt a shiver chase down his spine. Holding the device in his hand, he couldn't shake the feeling that Laura wasn't done yet. The tension loomed like a storm cloud. Just how far would she go to keep him tethered? "Let us see what happens next," he said, his heart pounding as he opened the message. Maybe this would be the moment that unraveled it all, or the moment that solidified what he truly wanted, and as he looked at Sarah, he couldn't help but wonder, would they be able to withstand the trials ahead, or would they be swept away in the chaos? The screen glowed with the message, and Mark's heart raced. He knew, without reading a single word, that it would be bad news. Laura had a knack for twisting the knife just when he thought he was free of her grasp. He took a steadying breath, glancing at Sarah, who leaned closer, her curiosity mingling with concern. "What's it say?" she asked, her voice low and urging. He opened the message and scanned it quickly. "It's a picture of us. An old one from when we were happy, and it says, 'Remember this? You can't just walk away.'" "Ugh," Sarah sighed, rolling her eyes. "She's playing games, Mark. Don't let her get to you." "But how does she still have this?" I thought he trailed off, frustration bubbling inside him. He had so many moments captured with Laura that seemed to drain his energy. Why couldn't those memories just fade? "Do you want to respond?" Sarah suggested gently, nudging him toward action. "Set some boundaries. Make it clear this is over." Mark hesitated. The thought of confronting Laura exhausted him, but Sarah's steady presence fueled his resolve. He knew he had a choice to make. "Yeah, you're right. I can't let her dictate our lives anymore." With a deep breath, he typed furiously back, "This is done. You need to let me go. I'm moving on." His finger hovered over the send button. What if the thought rushed through him? What if she doesn't accept that? "Then we deal with it," Sarah reaffirmed. "Together." He took that strength and clicked send. The message disappeared, and a slight relief washed over him. He felt lighter, as if he had just released a heavy weight. But that relief was short-lived. What would happen when Laura responded? Moments ticked by slowly, the quiet of the afternoon settling around them. The potential for anxiety filled the air like a thick fog. Just then, his phone buzzed again. Tension flared in his chest, and he didn't know if he was ready for whatever was coming next. "Do you want me to?" Sarah began, but he shook his head. "I have to see it." He picked up the phone and opened the new message. A single word flashed across the screen. "Why?" Mark froze. It felt like the world stopped around him, the question echoing in his mind, twisting with doubt and fear. Why? Why did it have to be this way? And now that he was moving on, was he really sure he wanted to? "Do you think I should explain?" he asked, glancing at Sarah, whose expression was a blend of concern and unwavering support. "No," she replied firmly. "You don't owe her anything. You've made your choice." Mark felt a swirl of emotions. He wanted to be strong, to hold tightly to his decision, but the shadows from the past hung heavy in the air. "I just don't want to hurt her, you know? Sometimes hurting is part of healing," Sarah said softly. "You're not responsible for how she feels." He nodded slowly, absorbing her words. There was a deep truth in them, a mirror reflecting what he needed to see in himself. Could he truly let go of the weight of guilt? As they sat together, silence filled the space, but it was a comfortable silence. He took Sarah's hand in his, squeezing it tightly. Just being this close made him feel more grounded, but his mind wandered back, grappling with Laura's unresolved question. What would be the aftermath of his message? He closed his eyes for a moment, envisioning a weekend away where everything felt safe and free. From the chaos, laughter, and even love. But the tension remained like a taut string, ready to snap. With resolve, he turned back to his phone one more time, but just as he was about to compose his thoughts, it chimed again. The screen lit up with another message from Laura. His heart sank, but the thrill of challenge sparked in his chest. He looked at Sarah. Something told him that whatever this was, it would either ignite or shatter everything they had barely begun to build. "Let us find out what she's got this time," he said, ready to face whatever chaos would come next. And as dread mingled with anticipation, he opened the message, a sense of trepidation creeping in. What if she had uncovered something that could change everything? The message loaded slowly, each second stretching into an eternity. Mark's gut twisted. He braced himself, but nothing could prepare him for what he was about to read. Do you really think you can just walk away? I know about you and Sarah. She's not what you think she is. His breath caught. A wave of panic hit him, threatening to drown out all rational thought. How could Laura know about Sarah? He had been so careful. They had shared stolen moments, quiet laughter behind closed doors, fleeting glances across bustling coffee shops, careful not to let their burgeoning relationship spill into the light of day. Wait, what? He whispered under his breath, but Sarah could hear the tremor in his voice. What is going on? She pushed, leaning in, eyes wide with concern and curiosity. Laura, she's saying she knows about us. His voice was barely above a whisper, the weight of her words crashing over him like waves. Sarah's brow furrowed. That's ridiculous. How could she possibly know? I have no idea. Mark snapped, irritation flickering through his dread. This just keeps getting messy. He shot another glance at his phone, and the familiar suffocating dread of Laura's manipulation curled like smoke around him. I need to respond, he said, his fingers poised over the screen again. What are you going to say? Sarah asked. You can't let her pull you in again. I want to protect you, he replied, conflicted. Every instinct told him to shut the door on Laura completely, but a part of him felt the need to defend himself. I can't let her twist this into something it's not. Sarah placed her hand on his arm. You don't owe her any explanations. She's trying to control you, and you're stronger than that. As he scoffed at the absurdity of it all, the internal divide between his past and present loomed larger than ever. Just when he thought he was treading the path of closure, Laura came hurtling back, making it impossible to move forward. What if she creates more mess? What if I lose? His voice trailed off, the weight of vulnerability creeping back in. What if you don't? Sarah's eyes sparkled with a fierce determination. You're casting your past aside. You deserve to let go. Trust yourself. Taking a deep breath, he finally hit reply, fingers shaking but resolved. Laura, you don't get to control this. I'm moving forward with my life, and there's nothing you can say to change that. Each word felt powerful, and with his message sent, he felt a rush of exhilaration as well as fear. Mark glanced at Sarah, and her reassuring smile steadied him. See? That's the Mark I know, she said, pride illuminating her features. But just then, his phone buzzed relentlessly in his hand, another notification lighting up the screen before he could savor the moment. Wait. Something else, he muttered, his heart racing as he opened the incoming barrage. Mark, can we talk? I didn't want to say everything in the message. I thought we could try again. I can explain everything, please. The pulse of dread fluttered in his chest once again. Was this manipulation or genuine desperation? And as he processed the implications of her request, anxiety clawed at him. What is it going to be, Mark? Sarah asked, her voice low. Can I really trust my instincts? He whispered, unsure of the answer, waiting on the other side of the screen. Could facing the past provide him with closure, or would it distort everything he had with Sarah? He glanced back at the message, and suddenly, the screen felt like a portal to the past, back to a time filled with hurt and chaos. He took a deep breath. I can't go back, he said louder now. But could he resist the pull of curiosity as he wrestled with the decision? A new message came through. Just be honest with me, okay? The question hung in the air like a fragile tick of a clock. How could honesty unravel the web that had entangled him so tightly? And as he hovered over her newest words, Mark knew one thing for sure. Whatever he chose would lead to a new chapter, one he couldn't predict. But was he ready for the truth? Mark's heart raced, caught between the need to confront his past and the instinct to protect his future. He stared at his phone, the glowing screen a siren call to trouble he thought he'd buried. What if I just ignore it? He murmured, the words slipping past his lips almost out of desperation. But Sarah shook her head. Ignoring it won't make it go away. You know that. You have to face it. For your sake and ours. He knew she was right. Each pulse of his heart reminded him that avoidance wasn't strength, it was fear. He looked at her, the steadfastness in her eyes giving him courage. You're sure about this? Absolutely, she replied, unwavering. With a deep breath, he held down the reply button, fingers hovering. What if he opened a floodgate? Could Laura's words drag him back into a world he was desperate to escape? Just be honest. The phrase echoed in his mind as he began to type. Laura, if we're talking, it's not about trying again. I want to understand. What is it you feel you need to explain? He hit send, every tap of the screen fueling a surge of anxiety. The silence that followed felt almost oppressive. Seconds turned into minutes, and Mark and Sarah sat side by side, tension coiling around them like a tightening noose. Finally, the phone buzzed again, vibrating against the table. He scooped it up, dread twisting in his gut. The message read, I need to tell you what really happened, Mark. You deserve the truth, and I can't let you walk away without it. Mark glanced at Sarah, whose expression was a mixture of concern and cautious optimism. This could be it, she said softly. The closure you need. Could this be the moment he'd been waiting for? The answer to all the questions that haunted him since he'd finally left Laura behind? Maybe it was time. Maybe he could dive into the chaos and emerge whole again. Okay, he replied with an overwhelming sense of resignation. Tell me. As he sent the message, a strange mixture of hope and dread loomed over him. There was a chance that Laura's words might clear the fog, or she could plunge him deeper into confusion. He was surprised when an immediate response flickered to life. Meet me where it all began. I need you to listen. Mark's breath hitched. The place where they'd shared moments that now felt like distant memories. So much had unfolded in that space, both joy and pain. You're serious? He whispered, glancing again at Sarah. What is it going to be? She prompted, her eyes searching his. I don't know, Sarah. It feels like I'm about to walk back into a storm, he replied, uncertainty creeping back. Only if you let it. You're not the same person anymore. He closed his eyes, memories flashing through his mind, the recklessness, the chaos, and then the eventual clarity that had come from being with Sarah. Could he let this be the final confrontation? One that would allow him to fully embrace his future? What if it changes everything? He said, almost to himself. It will change things, Sarah countered gently. But maybe that's what you need. Mark took a breath, his decision crystallizing. All right. I'll meet her. But he felt a thick knot of anxiety tightening in his chest. Just as he got ready to leave, a final message appeared on his screen. Thank you for giving me this chance. You won't regret it. His stomach lurched. Regret. That was something he was all too familiar with. But could this meeting finally sever the ties that had bound him for too long? As he shared one last look with Sarah, her unwavering trust in him filled him with a flicker of hope. Whatever happens, I'll be waiting for you, she said, squeezing his hand. Mark nodded, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead. He stepped into the night, the shadows of the past trailing behind him. As he approached the familiar place, doubt filled him. What awaited him? Would he finally get closure, or was he about to open a new chapter of pain? As he pushed the door open, his heart raced. And then he saw her. What would Laura say that could shake the foundation he'd built? Would he be able to handle the truth? Mark stepped inside the dimly lit cafe, the atmosphere heavy with memories that clung to the walls. The familiar scent of coffee mingled with the sound of quiet conversations, wrapping around him like a warm blanket. His heart raced. He was caught between a desire for closure and a fear of what Laura might reveal. He scanned the space until his eyes landed on her, a figure seated at the corner table, shadowed under a soft light. Laura looked different from how he remembered, yet the air was thick with nostalgia. She glanced up, catching his gaze, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. Thank you for coming, she said, her voice steady yet soft, a stark contrast to the chaos of their past. Mark nodded, his throat dry. Let us just get to it. Laura took a deep breath, her expression shifting, vulnerability surfacing. I didn't want to reach out this way. I needed to explain everything. Then do it, he replied, urging her to cut through the tangled web of emotions. She leaned in, her hands trembling slightly. When you left, it wasn't just about us. I was scared. I realized I never wanted to hold you back, but I also didn't want to lose you. Her honesty hung in the air, weighty and real. Mark felt an ache in his chest. "You could have told me that," he said, pain lacing his voice. "I was afraid of your ambition, what it represented. I thought you'd move on without looking back, like I was just another chapter you wouldn't need." He frowned, memories flooding back. The nights spent apart, the disconnect that grew like a weed between them. "I wouldn't have left if I'd known." Laura looked down, shame shadowing her features. "I made mistakes. I chased my own fears instead of fighting for us. When I saw how you were moving on with Sarah, it hit me. I realized that I hadn't just lost you, I lost myself." The sincerity in her voice stirred something in him, a flicker of what they once shared. Yet here he was, trying to build something new with Sarah, a woman who saw him differently, who fought for their future. "We were broken before I even left," Mark said quietly, "but I can't go back. I've made my choice." Laura nodded, her eyes shimmering with tears. "I respect that. I wanted to give you this chance to say goodbye properly. I need to let you go." Mark felt a swell of emotion. "Is that really it? No more dragging this out?" "It's time," she whispered, tears escaping down her cheeks. As he looked at her, he understood that this was closure not just for her, but for himself as well. The woman in front of him wasn't the person he feared. She was a reflection of his past. "Then I forgive you," he said just above a whisper. "Thank you," she smiled through tears, the weight of unresolved history slowly lifting. He stood, ready to step out into the world beyond, but a final question clung to the air. "Will you be okay?" Laura nodded, the strength of her smile returning. "I will. I've got to finally find my own path." The past felt lighter as Mark walked away, the shadows inside him fading under the soft glow of what lay ahead. He knew Sarah was waiting for him, her unwavering trust fueling the hope that blossomed anew. As he stepped back into the daylight, freedom washed over him. Sarah stood outside, her gaze searching his. He felt weightless, like a burden had lifted, and he hurried toward her. "Mark!" she exclaimed, her voice a melody of relief mixed with concern. "It's done," he replied, a smile breaking across his face. "I let it all go. I'm here for us now." Tears brimmed in her eyes, but this time they sparkled with joy. "You'll never regret this," she said, embracing him, warmth enveloping them. In that moment, everything came together. The past had been laid to rest, making room for something remarkable. Looking into Sarah's eyes, he felt an undeniable connection and energy that promised growth, healing, and love. Together they would face whatever came next, hand in hand, ready to redefine happiness not just for themselves, but as a family. As they walked away from the cafe and toward their future, Mark understood that while the past had shaped him, it would not define him. Hope filled his heart, carrying them forward into endless possibilities. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe to the channel immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help grow our amazing community. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. And don't forget to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share, because only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.